What's up? This is Dilio, and I'm coming to you with my review of the Universal Audio Apollo Twin Audio Interface. This is an audio interface. It's been out for a while. I think they call it the Heritage Edition, and I wanted to do a review of this product because I just got it, and it's been like a long time coming. So why did I get it? Long story short, a couple things. First, it was on the used market for a fraction of what the actual price is. And that's the first reason. Two, I've always wanted to experience, recording with the UAD plugins on the hardware separate from the computer. And I know that there's a lot of talk about the Spark subscription program that Universal is rolling out with their plugins, and they're bringing a lot of their plugins natively to the DAW systems. And, a lot of people saying, well, this stuff is needed. External DSP, or digital signal processing, is sort of a thing that people don't really need anymore because everybody's computer is fast. We got 8 cores, 10 cores, 20 cores. We got all these cores and all this other stuff. And I think that's cool, but this is something I've always wanted to work with for a long time and never really pulled the trigger on because of that cost of entry. Plus, when I invested in the LA610 preamp, I had processing going to tape. I always like that sound going to tape with it sounding good, because when you're processing your sound and you get it sounding great going to tape to your DAW, you got a great microphone like the WA8000, and you got that going to your recording first before you do anything else. Now you have less work to do on the back end when you're mixing your songs. So I thought that was great. But I also liked doing things like recording with autotune in real time, and you can sort of do that. And then there's also this thing of doing a sort of tug of war. If you record it with DAW software, you know that when you work with the buffer, you can bring it down to 64 milliseconds, and with Thunderbolt and USB 3 and faster computers, you can bring that time. I've noticed that time and that stability, the stability of that has improved, but the time and latency between that is getting shorter and shorter over the years. But it still was a tug of war. So you could have your latency set really low, and PreSonus has a lot of great low latency setups that go on along with other things. However, it was very short, and there's always this tug of war. Okay, man, I need to bring the buffer up. Or if you got a lot of plugins running at the same time, now you run into a situation where you're starting to hear buffer underruns, and now you got to push the buffer back out a little bit. And so it's always that balancing act. So I wanted to experience what it would be like to not have to deal with that balancing act. So I said, okay, this object here, which I wanted to get for a while, and I thought to myself, okay, I'm just going to save up for it and buy a brand new one. And a lot of the newer ones from Apollo, the newer DSP interfaces are Thunderbolt and USB Type-C or something like that, Thunderbolt. And there's also that lack of compatibility with Thunderbolt and PCs. There's this tug of war there. Not really a war I want to fight. That's not something I want to get into. I don't want to get into all of that, but I knew that this computer that I have right here, which is a PC, I do all my music on a PC, has USB 3. And I was like, well, my computer speaks USB 3 just fine. And so they still had the USB Apollo Twin, which is like a Windows version. And the story behind this device was that the original person who bought it had a Mac system, and so because it was a USB 3 device, there are compatibility issues with that. And I was like, okay, I'll get into it. And then another cool thing is, as you're hearing right now, is that you're hearing the processing happen in real time. So literally, I got a virtual version of a distressor, and I have my eyeballs on this compressor for a long time. I've seen it in large professional studios. I was like, wow, it'd be great to experience that. And what I like is just, no, it's not the actual thing, but I think that they do a really good job as far as doing things to make sure that it sounds like the actual hardware. So the microphone you're hearing right now, and if you notice in my other videos, my microphone is a lot darker sounding, not as loud, not as cutting. But here I got some processing happening in real time, along with a Pultec EQ, so I can boost some of the highs, because just straight through going pure audio to audio interface, as you heard in older videos, it was just like, it's just dark audio. You could hear me, but it wasn't like, boom, it wasn't in your face. The volume was down, so when you listen to it on a cell phone. And I live with that sort of like, I guess this is how it's going to be. And so I've always wanted to improve that, but never really wanted to unhook my studio microphone so I could plug this headset into that preamp and then boost the levels up that way. I didn't want to do that. I wanted more of a turnkey system. And so right now you're hearing plugins being processed in real time with extremely low latency that I don't really feel. And then another thing I wanted to experience is that real-time autotune. So I can put autotune on my voice in real time and I don't think I have the any of these things. Oh, there it is right there. Let me turn that thing off. I don't want that there. You might have heard something because I'm not monitoring anything. I'm just talking to the camera right now. And I was also interested in working with Autotune. I love the suite of plugins that Antares has out. That's really cool. And so when you know how to sing with Autotune, you can get some really great takes going to tape that you don't have to keep punching over. And plus, Autotune will give it away when you're off a key when you're recording. And so I'm like recording up, no, let's go back. And then you're able to really lay down some great sounding vocals in less time, which is great. And so there's less back end work to do, less plugins to worry about. And even though I have a great computer, I have an extremely great computer that can run plugins for days and a whole bunch of instances of Autotune. It's just something about singing with that. And then what I also noticed that is that one of the things I wanted to do for my clients when I record them is that I wanted them to have effects while they're recording, sort of like a confidence booster or a confidence room, almost like the situation if someone is singing in the shower. Like if you're like me, one of the great places to sometimes just break out in song is in the shower because the acoustics, you can hear reflections of your voice. And so with this, you can load up reverb and delay plugins. I just use the stock plugins that come with it that didn't cost me anything. And I'll sing along and I'll talk with that, and you hear this room tone. And then when I have clients come record, oh, that sounds really cool. And it sort of helps them get involved, and it makes them want to sing more because they're hearing themselves in a room. It's not such a dry situation. Or we could take it off if they prefer that. And so that was a really cool thing. And then, you really you are getting what you pay for with this, audio converters. It doesn't really make too much a difference for me at this level about audio converters going in and out. However, if I was probably in a more professional environment that's much more isolated, I probably would want to hear a little bit more of what's going on. But as they say, these are some great converters, and I'm very pleased with the LA610. It's a universal audio product. This is a universal audio product. When you get into this universe, this is where it gets expensive. And I tell you, messing with audio recording, not let alone being a producer, but just an engineer, you're going to run into costs. So like plugins for these are much more expensive than using your stock plugins in your DAW. But I do feel like you're getting something for the dollar. And, sometimes having less is more, because if you're like me, or if I've seen other people's rigs, they can have the whole Wave suite and they have like hundreds of plugins and they barely even scratch maybe 5 or 10 of them. And you get overwhelmed, when the truth of the matter is that you don't really need a whole lot of stuff to create great records. How many times can you boost or cut frequencies with the EQ? How much compression? And there are things that run different. And the cool thing about this is that this actually comes with a plugin of the LA2A, which is a very popular plugin. I was actually thinking about getting that from Warm Audio, because Warm Audio did a version of the LA2A plugin. They got their own version of it, which is not as expensive as the actual LA2A. I was like, cool. And I was actually interested in the Neve preamp just to hear for myself the difference. And on the other side of the coin, the Personas Fat Channel came with some of those plugins. It comes with like this LA2A version of a compressor, and it has this Neve and even Pultec EQ built into that. So you have these tools already there, but it was just something about working with hardware and having knobs to turn and stuff like that. So there's always this constant tug of war of having software and hardware, but I feel like this is a happy medium. And I think I'm going to have a lot of fun with this, and I think I'm going to be able to serve a lot of good people. Great, amazing vocals. I'm having a lot of fun with it. It is a whole different universe because the plugins do cost more, but I see them that they're throwing discounts for their plugins. It's definitely a great way to copy protect your plugins by using this as a big licensing key. And, but I really have fun with using the actual compressors with actual EQs that are simulated very well, with Autotune going to tape and hearing reverb and not having that reverb print to tape, or you can print to tape if you want to do that. And then they're simulating like lexicon, reverbs, a lot of classic gear. So it's a lot of fun, and I'm having a lot of fun with it, and it's just going to make cutting records a lot more easier. So I'm really excited about that. The only drawbacks that I really have at this point right now is just the cost of entry and the plugins. They cost. They will cost you, but the quality of experience I get, like it doesn't get. You're not going to get a fancier audio interface for your dollar than this. With the DSP built in, and then the fact that I could add 8 more in and out channels via ADAT to this thing, which would be really good. So that way I can hook up more things to it, so I don't have to keep plugging stuff in and out. I think it's really cool, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. So if you're willing to find one on the used market, I know it's an old device. It's been out for a while. I'm probably like the last person to do a review on it, but I wanted to give my thoughts on it. I think it's a great audio interface. I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. I can't wait to save up to upgrade the ins and outs so I can get some of my hardware running through it. And, maybe there's a way to get my current audio interface to 1824 in and out of it. Definitely want to experiment with that in the future, but it's fun. It sounds great. The plugins sound great. I feel like I'm getting a little bit of that legacy sound with my recordings. It's just fun. It's another tool, and I think it's really cool. Just pricey. So if you don't mind pricing this, but I do believe you do get what you're paying for. All right. So that's my review of the Universal Apollo Twin. I'll see you on the next video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and check out my website dlot2k.com for presets, sound loops that I have for sale, and we'll go from there. So I'll see you guys later. Peace out.